Of Africa's role as the cradle of mankind, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where the name came from, and there are actually quite a number of theories on the origin of the name Africa. Interestingly, however, for a good part of human history, Africa went by a different name. Ancient historians and geographers like Herodotus and Strabo actually attributed the name Libya to the entire continent. You can see that here in recreations of both of their maps. At the time, only the northern end of the continent had been explored by outsiders, which today includes the countries of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and modern Libya. It should also be said that Egypt was not, at the time, considered to be a part of Africa. This land was given the name Libya after the Libu people who lived just to the west of Egypt. Despite being a rather small tribal offshoot, for historians like Herodotus, Libu came to represent the larger ethnic group of North Africans, which today we would call Berber, who are lighter skinned and have more Western and Arab features than the Africans further south. To Herodotus, there were two ethnicities in Africa, Libyans, who were found in the north, and the Ethiopians, who were the dark.
Centrum Silver is clinically proven to support memory in older adults. You did it with Centrum Silver.
Darker-skinned people found further south on the continent. This is the origin of the name Ethiopian, by the way. But to Herodotus, the Ethiopians represented a small portion of the inhabitants of the continent, despite the fact that today we know it's actually the other way around. So he and others called the continent Libya to signify it as the land of the Libu. Of course, this name didn't last, so what happened? In short, the Romans. In long, at the height of their rule, the Romans had conquered and controlled most of the coast of northern Africa. But, being a rather large expanse of land, they broke it into several provinces, including Egyptus, Cyrenaica, Numidia, Mauritania, and this area around the city of Carthage in modern-day Tunisia, which was given the name Africa. Then, similar to Asia, the name came to mean larger and larger areas until the entire continent was under its title. First, when restructuring the provinces, the territories of Cyrenaica, Numidia, and Mauritania were placed under the control of the African diocese, which was basically the administration or the local government of the time. So now, Africa was basically the northern coast of the continent Libya, while today Libya is actually on the northern coast of the continent of Africa. But then it stayed like this for a while, until the Roman Empire collapsed. Once this happened, the name Africa sort of fell out of official use, as the province of Africa didn't exist anymore. But then, when Justinian I returned to conquer this land and annex it under the Byzantine Empire, the region became the Exarchate of Africa. Then, when the Muslims eventually conquered the land, they gave it the name Ifriqiya, which preserved the name but not so much the spelling. After this, more and more was learned about the continent, and with each expedition into the interior, the name Africa followed, until the name Libya was entirely displaced by Africa. So now, what most of you are asking is, well, why did the Romans call that initial province Africa in the first place? And with most names and words this old, it's hard to say. The ancient Romans would call it Africa Terra, which translates from Latin into land of the Afri, and at the time there was a tribe within Tunisia who were referred to as the Afri, and it is likely these people the name was referring to, but it's still debated as to why they were called this. From this debate, two main theories have arisen, with a number of smaller ones as well. The first is that Afri, or the singular Afar, came from the Phoenicians who operated throughout the Mediterranean. In their language, the term Afar meant dust, and could have been meant to describe the land where the Afri lived, which on occasion will experience huge dust and sandstorms, sometimes even visible from space. The second main theory is that Afri comes from the Berber word Ifri, which means cave, which some people in Tunisia were known to live in, and some of whom still do to this day. Other theories include a Greek origin from the word phrike, meaning cold, so putting an A in front of it would negate it, and therefore Afrique would mean without cold, which is a pretty fitting description of the place if you ask me. Another idea is that Africa came from the Latin word aprica, meaning sunny, which again, also fitting. Out of these theories, we may never know the true origin of the name Africa, as that's about as far back as language and records will take us, so I hope you're satisfied with that.